My marriage happened just 3 months back, and I'm still boiling with rage over what went down. Actually, forget that. I've been harboring this fury for way longer than a mere 3 months. But that ceremony was the exact point where I chose to quit tolerating it all and begin plotting with precision. A bit of context first, since it sets the stage. I'm Curtis, 28 years old, and I was raised as the family's black sheep. My siblings, Roger and Juan, are both physicians. Roger's a heart specialist. Juan specializes in children's health, and both rake in serious cash while residing in homes that my folks boast about to every ear that listens. Me, I quit community college after just 1 year because it made me miserable, and I jumped into construction roles, storage facility shifts, anything that covered expenses. None of those spots held me longer than a handful of months, as I was hunting for something precise. But to my parents, I was nothing but a drifter who couldn't stick with employment. The reality is my mom and dad, Ellis and Nora, have always been fixated on prestige. Utterly fixated. They emerged from poverty and scraped into the middle class, craving their offspring to affirm that ascent. 2 medical pros, ideal. 1 kid in heavy boots, returning home grimy, total disaster. They've been drilling into me that I was useless since I hit 16. Ellis even launched a savings stash he dubbed the prison reserve, convinced I'd wind up behind bars. He spilled that during a heated clash when I was 17, claimed he was just facing facts about my destiny. I crashed in their cellar until age 25, not from inability to split, but because I hoarded every cent I earned. They billed me for lodging, which was whatever, but they also hammered home daily that I was a drag. Nora would present me to her pals as her boy who's still sorting himself out. Ellis would stack me against my siblings at each meal gathering. You get what years of that grind does to someone? It doesn't shatter you, it turns you sharp. Then I crossed paths with Brooklyn. She's an educator, whip smart. Cuts through nonsense, and somehow she gazed at me and spotted what my kin never bothered to notice. We courted for 2 years, and I popped the question last year. My parents scarcely faked joy over it. Nora straight up queried Brooklyn if she was certain about this, right to her face at the engagement meal. Brooklyn clasped my hand beneath the table and assured her she'd never felt more certain of a choice. So we orchestrated this event. Not extravagant, around 80 attendees at a resort spot that Brooklyn's folks, Elaine and Roger, chipped in for since they're genuinely kind souls. My parents pitched in zilch and griped nonstop. All through the prep, I was juggling another project, but more on that shortly. The big day arrives, and it's smooth sailing until the after-party. We shared our inaugural sway, sliced the dessert. Brooklyn's father delivered this heartfelt speech about folding me into their clan. Then my father rises with a flute of bubbly, and I should have sensed trouble right there, but I was clinging to hope. Ellis launches into how stunned they were when I announced my nuptials. He mentioned they'd braced for alternate scenarios for ages, brought up the prison reserve once more like it was comedy gold, and quipped they'd never figured on needing funds for a ceremony. Folks chuckled awkwardly, unsure if he meant it. Nora rose beside him and chimed in, gushing about how I'm their unique boy, the one who never nailed down his calling, unlike my siblings who both became healers. Did she stress they're both healers? Brooklyn's hold on my limb tightened. Her mother Elaine appeared ready to vault the table and throttle somebody. Then Nora doubled down. She declared Brooklyn must adore me deeply to ignore all my shortcomings, labeled me a community college quitter, which all knew, referenced the cellar, and warned she hopes Brooklyn grasps what she's stepping into since I've never stuck with a gig past 3 months. She delivered this grinning like it was endearing. Ellis tacked on that his greatest shock was that a gem like Brooklyn would opt for a guy like me. He literally said opt for. At my own event before 80 souls, Brooklyn broke into tears. Not subtle ones, raw, heaving sobs. Her father rose and noted this was out of line, and Elaine was already snatching her bag. They exited just bylaid on my event, and I can't fault them. About half the crowd seemed appalled, the rest squirmed in unease, and my siblings just gawked at their dishes like spineless fools. I didn't erupt. I didn't cause a fuss. I beamed at my parents and thanked them for their candor. Nora seemed pleased, like she'd nailed a goal. Ellis patted my back and hoped no grudges lingered. It was merely the facts. The gathering wrapped prematurely. Brooklyn and I retreated to our suite, where she wept for 2 hours as I cradled her and schemed. You see, for 3 years I'd been crafting something solid, and that event's shame just accelerated my schedule. We took a brief getaway, only 4 days, since Brooklyn needed to resume her duties. Throughout, she kept saying sorry as if she bore any blame. She felt mortified that her parents had stormed off, fretted over judgments, and I kept reassuring her we'd be all right. More than all right. 2 weeks post-ceremony, Brooklyn was away at an educators' summit overnight, and I swung by my parents' place to grab some ceremony presents they'd stashed. They weren't expecting me. I used the spare key I'd held onto and caught them on the line in the galley. On speaker, blasting volume. It was Roger on the line, my sibling, the heart doc. He inquired about the event since he dipped early, and Nora recounted it unfolded precisely as anticipated. She noted I seemed baffled amid their speech, as if I missed their sincerity. Ellis chuckled and predicted I'd split from Brooklyn inside 2 years, once she clocks what she's tied to. Nora concurred and said they're merely awaiting Brooklyn to catch on, since no union like this endures the grind. Then Ellis uttered something that had me clutching the frame. He claimed I'd never rise above mediocrity because I lacked the grit. Never possessed it, and the quicker all grasped that, the healthier. Roger offered no pushback, just noted they'd given their all with me. I lingered there perhaps 5 minutes, absorbing them shredding me to my brother. Then I strode into the galley, and they nearly leaped from their seats. Nora attempted to frame it as mere release. Ellis claimed I was twisting it, and I shut them down. I snatched my ceremony halls, exited, and headed home. That evening, I began dialing contacts. 3 years prior, I halted the job hopping and ignited something tangible that my parents remained clueless about, since I kept it zipped. I'd been erecting something substantial while they presumed I was tanking, and I'd been meticulous in framing it to yield choices. Recall how I mentioned stashing every buck while bunking in their cellar. Yep, those funds funneled to a targeted spot. And recall how they view me as the flake who can't foresee? That's proven my sharpest edge. Brooklyn returned from her summit and spotted me at the dining setup with a notebook and roughly 15 sheets of hard copy files. She queried my activity, and I explained I was tackling an issue long overdue for resolution. She scanned the docs, eyed me, and wondered if I was certain. I assured her I'd never felt more resolute. I devoted the following week to coordinations, dispatching details to key figures, and lining up sessions that would reshape it all. My parents were oblivious. My siblings were in the dark. They figured I was the identical pitiful flop they'd always pegged. And that illusion suited me fine, because here's the secret they lack. The cellar they permitted me to occupy for years while scorning me. I hold the deed. I possess the entire dwelling. I acquired it 3 years past when they teetered on repossession, slotted it into a shell entity they never probed, and I've allowed them to remain there without charge while they demean me routinely. The supposed bank dues they believe they're forwarding? Flowing to me, each installment. And that's merely the opener to what I've orchestrated. But I'm jumping ahead. In the next entry, I'll detail the fallout when I kicked off executing my scheme and how my kin responded as they began sensing something gravely amiss. Update 1. Wow, the feedback on my prior entry was wild. To the reader who suggested capturing that line chat on audio, believe me, I considered it, but I possessed superior leverage. And for all wondering how I snagged their dwelling undetected, allow me to clarify, as this is prime territory. 5 years back, my parents were sinking in red ink. Ellis had botched some hefty ventures, they'd reworked the mortgage twice, and they lagged 6 months on dues. The lender initiated seizure steps, and my parents were freaking but masking it from all, particularly my siblings, the healers. They couldn't stomach Roger and Juan learning of their fiscal blunders lest it cracked their flawless facade. I learned via proximity. I resided there, and I'm no fool. I spotted the lender notices, overheard the midnight spats, observed their escalating frenzy. They never sought my aid because why tap the clan dud for solutions? Yet I'd been grinding relentlessly for years, grabbing overtime wherever possible, banking it all. At 23, I held funds they were unaware of. So I approached them via an associate I'd partnered with, pitched that a funding collective was snapping up troubled assets, would claim theirs, permit them to rent back with a repurchase clause down the line. They were so frantic and so sure I was too thick to hoodwink them that they inked it all. The shell's title rang no bells. They assumed a firm purchased it. Never dawned on them I was the firm. I've been pocketing their dues for 3 years. Fair rates, no gouging, but it's accumulated in a dedicated pot for precisely this. They figure it's rooted to a handling outfit. All exchanges via mail from a crisp domain. I picked up sufficient property ops savvy to render it airtight. Now, let me recount what transpired post that line eavesdrop and my initial maneuvers. Initial move. I dispatched them a formal alert, crisp stationery, all by the book. notifying that the asset holder was ending their tenancy and granting 60 days to clear out. They rang the handling mail right away, snagged an auto-reply promising outreach in 5 workdays. I allowed them to stew for 7 days. In that span, Brooklyn and I held a deep dive on my path. She needed assurance I'd mulled it fully. Wasn't mere spite-fueled impulse. I laid it all bare. 3 years' worth of records, each remittance they'd sent, each slighting remark I'd logged with timestamps. The audio clip I did capture of them dishing to my sibling. She absorbed it and declared full solidarity, whatever I required. Her folks connected amid this storm. Elaine rang Brooklyn to check our status after the event fiasco. Brooklyn relayed the line exchange they'd had, outlined my blueprint, and guess what Elaine replied? She noted it was high time somebody enforced reckoning. She and her spouse volunteered aid if required. That's genuine backing parents embody, incidentally. Weeks close, I rang my parents from an alternate line. Ellis picked up, and I identified as repping the handling firm on his query. He exploded, demanding the eviction rationale, insisting they'd been model dwellers vowing suits. I endured his tirade 5 minutes, then clarified the asset holder aimed to occupy personally and was invoking rightful reclaim. Ellis unraveled, bellowing about it being their nest, 20 years rooted, unlawful he'd litigate the works. I remained polished and reiterated the tenancy terms. 60 days, full deposit refund barring harm. He slammed down. Nora redialed 10 minutes on, opting for the gentle tack, detailing their clan ties, neighborhood bonds, perhaps a compromise. I stated the holder's call stood firm. She pleaded direct owner chat. I declined, offering to relay notes. She dissolved into sobs, and I nearly pitied her for a beat, but then flashed to her at my event, branding me a flop before the crowd. They looped in Roger. Roger looped me. This hit 3 days post-alert, and my sibling had the gall to play elder kin with me. Probed the house drama, said they were distraught, queried if I knew aught of the handling entity. I feigned ignorance. He noted the ousting defied logic. I lamented it, suggested better tenancy might have helped. Roger hushed. Then he flagged it as fishy and he'd probe. I invited him to proceed and disconnected. Let him snoop. He's a heart pro, not sleuth, and all my moves were ironclad lawful. Juan rang next. The junior kin, billed as the kinder sort, asked if I could aid mom and dad with digs, leveraging my build know-how for rental leads. I countered why he couldn't, earning triple my take as a healer. He bristled, claimed his funds locked in his clinic and pad. Couldn't melt assets. I noted that sucked, and perhaps mom and dad should have nurtured stronger kin bonds pre-need. He leaned guilt, said kin aids kin, labeled me icy, puzzled at my apathy. I countered I'd endured their barbs 28 years, and my care evaporated around their event let-down label. He framed it as their style. Don't internalize, I cut off. Brooklyn rolled in from her shift that day and caught me on the sofa, mobile on the side table, just gazing. She asked if the barrage had hit. I flashed the log. 17 skipped from mom, 12 from dad, 8 from Roger, 5 from Juan. She settled beside and probed my state. I said I was surpassing okay. I was witnessing them clock that the clan's dud wielded sway beyond their wildest. My parents crashed our flat 2 weeks post-alert. I'd braced, but Brooklyn hadn't. We were mid-meal when fists hammered the entry. Brooklyn peeked and reported my parents. I instructed hold the portal. They thumped 20 minutes, hollering my name, demanding dialogue. Finally, the site overseer intervened, warning departure or cops. Ellis messaged me post-midnight, claimed they knew I orchestrated this. Said they'd instilled better than kin sabotage. Said I owed discourse at least. I ghosted. Nora messaged Dawn next, rambling on regretting if event words stung, but that didn't warrant my current sabotage. Still silent. Then they targeted Brooklyn. Nora ambushed her campus, lurked in the lot till Brooklyn emerged post-sessions, neared her ride. Brooklyn pinged me instant and I urged car entry secure. Nora wrapped the pain, weeping. Pleading Brooklyn sway me, claiming they'd forfeit all. Brooklyn peeled out and rang en route home. That breached bounds, hitting my spouse at her post. I dialed mom from my usual line and her pickup dripped relief. She blurted thanks for reaching out. They needed hashing this mess, surely a fix. I warned if she neared Brooklyn anew any locale, I'd slash 60 to 30 days. She contested and I dropped. Roger meddled again, pushed a kin summit. Fired a mass ping to me, Juan, mom, dad, time to hash as grown-ups. I replied zilch to hash. Juan shot back I was rigid and pig-headed. Roger said pride blinded family. I silenced the thread. Brooklyn's folks summoned us for supper amid the turmoil. We attended, and it marked my first calm night in ages. Elaine whipped up divine layered pasta, her spouse quizzed my venture. Truly inquired my doings and heeded replies. Brooklyn's father noted beholding one asserting self was inspiring, wished more boasted such spine. They skipped dissuasion or pardon pushes, just bolstered us. Meantime my parents hustled for fresh quarters. Ellis scouted units and reeled at rates. They'd remitted me under market since no gouge intent, just cost cover. Now real rents hit and meltdown ensued. Nora rang Roger sobbing, unable to swing decent. Roger floated deposit loan but nixed ongoing dues. That's when Mom botched big. She aired on feeds about thankless offspring and kin treason. No tags but all in our circle new targets. She drew props from pals. Kin clings tight, condemning the tormentor. Then Brooklyn's mom chimed. Elaine penned perhaps deeds reap reaps and not all victim claims hold water. My aunt leaped defending Nora. Brooklyn's dad backed Elaine. It ballooned to public spat in replies. Mom axed the post, but I'd snapped it all. The 60 loomed, parents still rootless. They'd iced Roger and Juan, since ditched. Quit pinging me sans reply. I got dispatches from Juan, squeezed middle, fraying under strain. Juan rang for FaceTime. Pitched a tavern by his spot, I greenlit figuring one direct prior to true drop. Told Brooklyn venue, she urged caution. Dispo types act wild. I hit the joint, Juan awaited in nook, frayed beyond years. He blurted pre-seat, mend this. Mom, dad crumbling, kin crumbling. I nabbed a brew, let him exhaust. Post-pause, I posed one. Recall the event speech? He blinked. Probed if he clocked mom, dad dubbing me flop pre-crowd and he mute. Probed if he clocked them jesting prison stash pre-jail fate. Probed if he clocked them telling my bride she downgraded. Juan framed it candid, fretted for me, misspoken. I asked if he'd stomach that at his right. He said distinct. I asked why, stumped. Then I spilled the house tale. Watched his mug cycle baffle, denial, ire, then near awe. Queer at execution, I said years scheming, grinding to this crux, awaiting uncrossable breach. He deemed it overkill. I said their acts overkill. He said they'd land squalid digs. I said not my load. Juan angled final. Queried my ask, what halts this? And my reply, crave the lost 28 years of parental worth sense. Barring that, crave they taste impotence and shame. He said I mirrored them. I drained my brew, bounced. Deadline week out, parents still unsheltered. I knew via Roger panic ring. They'd flunked 3 units over credit dings and weak refs. Roger begged deadline stretch, I nixed. Then intrigue peaked. Dad crashed my gig. Next entry details that clash and fallout when kin clocked this mere prelude to my blueprint. Update 2. Sure, I get some deem me excessive. Nah, no halt. And to who urged let them self-resolve, that's what I did 3 years, enduring daily digs. This ain't snap, this is harvest time. So dad invaded my site. Oughta unpack my actual role as it keys in. Recall my build and stock shifts? Half true. I twalled those but also soaked property dev and ops lore. Past 3 years I've helmed my modest estate firm. No empire. I hold 4 lease units beyond parents' pad, oversee 3 for others, and rehab flips with 2 allies. Parents clueless. They peg me job flipper since I dodged corrections. Queries on doings got hazy build nods, true as I supervised overhauls. They skipped digs because I was the flop, right? I boast a legit nook, humble but owned. Co-share with allies, greet gal 3 days weekly. Pro-rig, valid op. My tag graces the plaque everywhere. Ellis sniffed my spot via Juan. Junior spilled post-dad grind, Juan warned me dad probing. Grateful tip but unfazed. All kosher trailed, let him roll. He hit Thursday PM. Our greet pro Chloe buzzed my station. Ellis insists view, claims paternity. I greenlit entry, craved the show. Ellis entered my nook, froze solid, you saw gears grind. Station rig stacks, credential frames. He scanned like misplaced, then fixed on me, queried the setup. I said my domain, queried meaning. I unpack deliberate, I run estate ops and dev, 3-year helm, this my base. His visage cycled dozen shades. Then he bellowed, why withhold, why let failure myth linger, why the deceit? I chilled and said no deceit, just withheld from lifelong lowballers. He cried foul. They parented, deserved intel. I asked if he'd lobbed one true life query past 5 years. Silence. He plopped unbidden opposite, said house hash overdue. I noted 60 ticking, hoped quarters locked. He said nah, all too steep or rejects. I said they're snag. Ellis shifted, waxed on nest build, memories rearing 3 lads. I cut include prison stash or just disdain vibe. He winced but pressed own slips but parent bond, still cherished. I said regard-free affection voids. He probed wants, halt price, let linger hash. And this crux I'd primed. Not you proffer sways, I'm fiscally sound, bliss wed, thriving op. Soul crave, baseline dignity, tardy now. Then I lobbed, I snagged the pad at Rapos brink, his pallor drained. Queered source. I said cohabitant, not sightless. Queered 23 house funds. I unpacked scrimped all ally LLC bootstrap, 5-year sector grind while you presumed waste. Ellis paced frantic. Clocks ticking unseen. Queered why permit stay if owned, I owned. Schemed broad, not specs but arc. New breach loomed, prepped potent riposte. Event speech that breach. He argued right words, no housing doom warrant. I cued phone audio of their Roger Rip me no rise, Brooklyn bail cue. He absorbed own timbre, dubbing me gritless eternal. And droll he statue still. Then private musing, unmeant here, twisted. I asked what twist greenlight's sibling spouse dump pitch. He said vent frust. I said vicious, done feigning irrelevance. Chloe rapped queered fine. Ellis eyed her me, clocked turf, my nook, my realm, queered shift locale. I said chat sealed, depart. He warned regret. I said soul regret, delay, he split, I desk dwelt breaths. Ally entered, post yell query. I said sire overdue hash. He knew saga, backed my trek, just nodded pride. Brooklyn buzzed mid-prep slot, wand pinged her dad confront plan. I said done per script. She probed state, I said topping okay. Watched years weave mesh, 60 hit. Parents shifted to compact 2-bed across Berg. Roger fronted deposit and debut month. Spot halved house scale, no green, flimsy divides. Bulk gear warehoused unfit. Nora rang from newbie flop sobbing. Unbelievable I'd executed. Unbelievable this pit. I asked if bluff read. She thought since return. Raised superior. I said raised subpar, quit swallowing. But intrigue amps some may deem overreach. Recall house mere kickoff? Parents leaned Roger Juan fiscal crutches. Roger patched bills. Juan stocked pantries. Both strained propping folks. I clocked via Juan dispatches, guilt-bait hopes. Instead leveraged. Rang Roger, premier outreach post-storm. He picked wary, I asked monthly folk outlay. He snapped none your lane. I said lanes merged when you guilt-loaded my non-aid. Roger bristled. Kin duty sans me. I said aided 3 years sub-rate pad they misowned. He said ignorance voids count. I said point proven. Then pitched, pad mine lien free, sell you market, you rehouse them if crave. Roger muted. Pad $400K, queered earnest, I affirmed docs outbound. You gift stability, he said funds locked, I said mortgage like norm. He said credit capped, clinic pad, folk loans, I said tough, clicked off. Same to Juan. By pad, rehome folks, kin savior, Juan queered mockery. I said valid fix to your ping woes, he said unaffordable. Loans crush, fresh pad buy, so listed pad. Fair tag via trusted broker, parents clocked via Roger relay. Nora rang shriek, no rights that their nest. I let exhaust, then unpacked, legit my pad 3 years, full rights. Ellis grabbed line, threat suit barrage, distress, age torment, lawyer brainstorm. I urged try. Docs trail all steps, audios of their barbs galore. He said audios iffy state law. I said greenlit our turf, dropped. Brooklyn home eve caught me supper prep casual. Queered real sell? Yep, queered fund fate. I grinned, a scouting upscale, perhaps yard for future tots. She embraced, pad nabbed bid week 2. Fresh duo, debut buy full ask, snapped up. Parents clocked via whispers, Nora recrashed flat. Brooklyn portaled as I showered unknowing till lounge voices. Nora couch perched weeping. Brooklyn opposite perch uneasy, queered scene. Nora red-eyed me victory yours, ruined us, proud. I said no ruin, halted shielding from deed reaps and my mistreat. She dubbed cruel spiteful. I said tutored prime, she angled Brooklyn. Wed about kin, pardon grace. Brooklyn sliced, wed back spouse post mistreat. Nora stunned Brooklyn non-ally, said Brooklyn blind, rearing tough kid. Brooklyn said grasped watching love man Garbo treated by do bolsterers. Nora rose, said regrets loom. Brooklyn urged exit. Nora final me gaze, unseen you now, I said apt. You never eyed true me, swung portal. Post-exit, Brooklyn quaked. Said never prior such tongue to one. Unbelievable ousting damn. I said peak love then. We fetched delivery, Eve hashed saga and pendings as I unfinished. Far from. Roger pinged next dawn, face meet push. Said kin hash unfit phone. I oct park by pad Saturday AM. Neutral soil, crowd spot. Heat proof, I arrived, Roger benched prior drained. I settled, awaited launch, said spiral chaos. Kin fracture, mom dad non-op. I said not my yoke. Roger said like hate, still sires. I said still vile, near 30-year torment. He said unyielding. I asked forgive sans sorry, sans wrong own, sans rue. Blank, then halt ask. I echoed dad not proffered sways, harm sealed. Roger said no sin scale. I said child worth erosion decades, sin prime. Roger angled, get hurt, but spite bitters you. I chuckled, wrong, peak bliss. Steps thrilled beyond grasp. He said tragic. I said tragic, you shield who'd same you sans success bar, landed hard, queered mean. I unpacked, approval yours doc badge, else same me path. Denied weak, new truth, silence span. Then Roger fix blind, I said no mend. Fresh norm, adapt, queered full cut intent. I said thrive with respecters, sans Ellis Nora. He split, I benched linger, eyed dog walks, tot plays. Phone ping Juan talk ask, ghosted. Pad deal sealed week's post. Profit hefty, foreclosure snag. Brooklyn I scouted pads earnest. Biz bloomed, life peaked. Parents tank per Juan, mom panic spells, dad booze ramp. Roger decade age in duo months. Zero pity. Then a weighted twist. Parents fiscal plunged deeper. Newbie flat maxed Roger Juan aid, both tapped fiscal emotional. Complex hiked dues shortfall, they snagged oust alert. Roger begged aid, nowheres else. Said he Juan can't house sans own clan clash. I said pre-think, decades worth drounce pre this. And current parents verge flat oust. Siblings fiscal emotional spent. Wife fullback all moves me. Perched with pad sale hall, peak thriving. Next entry finale raw peak. Crested unexpected, crave the close, final update. Here the close all craved. Messy yeah, but not per comment bets. No bars, no passings. No cinema peaks. Just kin collapse from era's cruelty rebounding dealers. So parents flat housted. 30 days, nil shelter. Roger pitched wife temp house, she stone nixed. She'd event toast lore my treat no, said truck them in, she kids to sis. Roger folded swift. Juan's grimmer. Solo 3-bed pad, space theory, but flat no. Explained months prop fiscal drain, savings gutted, can't house plus soul bread. Ellis dubbed selfish. Juan dropped, then raw scramble. Parents pinged wide kin, aunts, uncles, cousins, any host potential. But kin lore, Ellis Nora prestige fix, judge, backstab gab, none craved guests. Excuses piled. Space nix, timing foul, Reno flux grasp. Nora pinged me then, asked joy and kin turn. I said no turn, halted net. She said poisoned all anti. I said perhaps unlikable core, now lit. She wept, I dropped. Brooklyn Bedeve soft tasked guilt ever. Quiet and zwirry tone, I mulled true, said no, vindicated, empowered. 28 years dirt kicked, now mirrored feel. She braucus, grasp. Parents oust dawned. Packed truck fit, rest warehouse, strain pay. Juan hauled despite softer core. Pinged post, shattered vibe, ghost, truck bounced, motel scraps when cash, then unafford. Ellis Rogering, truck sleep impend. Roger freaked, me ring, premier crack. Sob phone, deed lost query, humanity remnant. I said two-way, they nil showed. Then stuck line, grasp poverty roots, Ellis sire booze beater, Nora trailer scorn victim. Claude escape, terror relapse. Hence prestige grip, kid success crave, me path crush. I Roger, trauma no abuse spaz, why grasp no keep harm duty. He said chill vibe, I said heel tone. Parents weak unsheltered, truck motel hop cash sporadic. Ellis aid quest civic lists lag. Nora quit pings, clocked no save. Then at 3 a.m. portal thump semi-braced weeks, roused by fury raps. Brooklyn arm grab, what on? I said likely parents, spot on. Portal swing PJS, peep. Ellis Nora wrecked raw. Filth spent crave. Opened no welcome. Ellis instant blurt, truck life 3 days, endured no more. Aid crave. Nora sob, beg mode, appalls, wrong admit your terms. I door stood, let plead. Brooklyn backbrush robe, wordless steady, Ellis event sorry. Years say, unsee true you, Nora pride build real, wrong us. I asked true mean or ear tickler. Ellis vowed true. I asked homeless threshold respect. Success soul when need your? Nora wrong stubborn vile, get no pardon but aid need. Brooklyn voiced, why event those? Ellis no, dumb, humor try. Brooklyn nil humor sun bride shame precares. Nora sorry, booze overreach. I said Rogerline here, no rise, Brooklyn wise bail, Ellis vent try I slice. Meant full, soul rue, punch fave bit back. Nora knee drop stoop, beg any. Sign work me, terms yours, Ellis shame but crave hush. Queer admin vacants 2-1 beds, clean safe. Could slot at any time past trio months, but held. Crave mirror grow up, worth nil, impotent, solo. Ellis queered vindict scale. I said app scale, Nora right make. Not harm era compound, daily choice sub bro treat. Brooklyn squeeze, police call, parents recoil, Ellis no need, exit. Nora near eyes wipe, me gaze, unseen now, I said good. Thought you known, quit day house snag under, they split. Brooklyn lock seal, entry stood beat then stay task, I said top okay, craved convos in 16 voiced full, bed return, sleep nix, lay mull event speech, line, oust, stoop plea. Each step 16 leads, Roger dawn ring. Said post mine forum is crash, wife garage bunk mandate called grasp now. AM talk there spin my words right all clock. Sorry Stanley. I said Paul void now. He grasped. Then now do. I said thrive respect clan end. No mega schemes, no more rip, just advanced sands. Juan Ping Eve real homeless stern. Confirmed. Said no agree but why grasp. I said fine. No need a line. Said Ellis Nora shelter downtown. He Nav aid for perm digs. Brooklyn I pad hunt weekend. Nabbed gem vast green sleek galley trio rooms taught future. Offer snapped. Parents pad hall down aid, irony pinged, closed 6 weeks on. Parents shelter stuck, Roger Therap Gilton ab long, Juan men try exhaust core, me plan perch. Brooklyn's folks hall help new pad, Elaine grub her spouse tools, day secure settle, true sires show, mill hugged close. Pride build life Brooklyn me, I said all mean. Ellis male trio months post 3 am. Ramble subpad via Prague snag, scrape by life mull time, grasp why do wish all choice. Door open, recon if crave. Deleted, no reply. Comment folks say overfar, aid do, kin, grudge self-harm. But lesson, oft healthiest toxic cut, even sires, prime if sires. My right peak joy meant they pub shame turned. 28 years worth dub, then stun care cease. Disappoint treat, hard lesson, disappoints bite. Brooklyn I bloom, biz swell, fam start, chat soon. Night sleep sound knowing decades small makers, now power nil taste. That right speech there true show all. Post all me there believe, to back folk updates thanks, to forgive forget urge, hope no why grasp. And parents if glimpse, raised exact me just me's thought against use. End, chapter sealed no back gaze.